Welcome to the Roundtable series. Today we are going to discuss the three-way merger between HotelLogix, Access Rooms, and RepUp. Three-way mergers are something that you don't hear about all the time. The last time I heard about something was Renault, Nissan, and Mitsubishi's merger, and this is very special for our industry. A little bit about the three companies that we're going to be talking about. HotelLogix is a cloud PMS company, Access Rooms is a distribution company, and RepUp is a guest experience management company. And this merger is an unprecedented move because it's going to change the way they serve a stack to the hotel and travel and tourism industry. Okay, it is a milestone because few companies ever reach this. The merger will empower them to scale and create capabilities to be more effective and create a profitable venture in the global marketplace. Okay, the founders have worked hard to make this happen. And if I give you some data points on how these companies stack up, okay, when they're together, their aggregate customer base is across 100 countries, and probably 10,000 plus hospitality businesses work with them. They range from small independent businesses to large global chains. Okay, why is this unprecedented? Think about it, okay? The travel industry is today $500 billion in size, okay? And it's going up to 1 trillion by 2026. And by the way, in India alone, travel employs about 43 million people. And I've got with me the gentleman here who made the merger happen. I've got Aditya Sanghi, who's the CEO of HotelLogix, Prabhash Patnagar, whose business designation is business head and part of HotelLogix. Pranjal Prashad is the head of products at HotelLogix. Ravi Taneja is also the head of operations HotelLogix. Anil Kumar Prasanna is the head of new marketing development and alliance. Okay, but listen to this. Pranjal comes from a startup called RepUp. He's the founder there. Ravi and Anil come from a startup called Access Rooms. So gentlemen, how did you guys make this happen? That was a pretty long introduction, and it's a very interesting time for all of us, right? Aditya,
Yeah.
this has a genesis of 18 months?
Yes, a little less than 18 months. Last June, July, we started
Okay.
this year. And see, the core objective when we started to discuss was that, if we bring all of this under one umbrella, the kind of products that we can roll out for the hospitality industry can take us together to the next level itself, and it will also give that next generation solution to the industry, right? So so running our journeys in silos, we thought that doing this all together just provides that extra ammunition, that differential strength in us as products to serve a better solution to the industry. So that was the whole idea from where it all started. Right?
Okay. And
Yeah.
who actually belled the cat? Who was the first to reach out to each other?
Okay, I think the whole genesis of it, I would let Ravi, explain this, because he explains this in a very interesting way, and it actually started with Ravi. So Ravi, why don't you take this up?
Ravi, go on. Was it a cup of coffee, cup of whiskey? How did that happen? Or a glass of whiskey,
Yeah, I think
rather?
you
How did it
answered the way
happen?
you answered the way I wanted to answer this. We keep reading a lot can happen over a coffee or a beer, but this actually happened, over a Marathi chicken, right? So in the same office, Aditya invited me for lunch, and I think that stuff was so spicy that we had to come out with some spicy ideas. But yeah, I think honestly, it actually started as a casual conversation between me and Aditya, right? We actually were having lunch and we thought, we are running these journeys independently. We have seen, a good sort of growth and traction over the last, 8 to 10 years, right? And how a consolidated model can actually weigh the industry sees us, right? I mean, there are multiple vendors or the partners that a customer uses. With the help of our products, we see that how fragmented this entire experience by a customer is. And when I say customer, it's basically nothing but the hotelier. So I think that's where it all started, right? I mean, in our mind, we of course took time to sort of absorb the whole idea. I went back to Anil, Aditya went back to Prabhash, Pranjal was, sort of another edition after, when me and Aditya spoke, we went to Pranjal thinking that, if we are doing this, we might as well, see how do we actually combine the entire experience of a hotel, not just touching upon the two critical aspects of their either operations or the distribution. We might as well look at the entire guest experience angle as well. And Pranjal was also equally kicked about the idea, the way, we sort of were kicked about this idea. And that's how, sorry.
Okay. Now, Pranjal, I mean, going to you, right? I mean, obviously Ravi must have reached out to you then. And what, did it make sense to you at that point of time? Like you said, you were part of the Oracle world, part of the accelerator side there. And, you were pretty much well entrenched to probably going to global markets. Why did this merger make sense to you?
So I know Ravi and Aditya and Anil and Pravas for quite some time, despite running independent companies. We have common customers. We had good integration with each other product. We had common distributors. At certain stage, we decided to look at global markets, especially focusing on the high value SME or the enterprise segment. But Ravi, he pointed out a very unique thing. He said, think of offering a RepUp or Experian product to say 5,000 hotels in India, which was not the scale we were doing. And I said, yeah, this makes sense because we cannot offer the product at a certain price point because customer acquisition cost is high. And that is the reason we are focusing on enterprise segment. But combining the solution, we will be able to open up a different level of market access for our product. So that idea really stick with me for quite some time. And we thought about if the joint offering will open up new market and new opportunities, which was not in our immediate plan.
Okay. I want to just tell the audience, right? This merger did not happen because of COVID-19. It was in the works since last July, right? And the COVID is just going to help them sell the product better because they're a stronger company together. Pramash, I want to come down to you, right? Sure. When Aditya came to you with this idea, for a three-way merger, right? I mean, what was going through your mind? What did you think? Because, let alone bringing these other founders together, right? I mean, not a lot of them get along. I mean, we're all competitors in the industry. What made sense to you when you said, let's do this?
Yeah. So seriously, I mean, the beginning was that, yes, I was a bit apprehensive as such, but then knowing Access Rooms and RepUp for a while, since we've been working together with customers, and also looking at the approach that we've been working with. So we have always taken a platform approach for our customers, wherein we have looked at opportunities to provide them with the best possible solutions that are available in the market when they are integrated with our PMS, right? So it made so much sense that some of the best products which are out of India and which are already running businesses in the country can come together and offer something so powerful that is not there to match up to at this point of time, right? So so that was something that was a big high that we got when we first thought about it and heard about it, and then took it forward to conclusion, which took some time and a lot of hard work from everyone.
Okay, Aditya, correct me if I'm wrong. Here, there were no third-party lawyers involved, nothing, right, in the beginning stages. Usually in these kind of deals, a lot of the third parties get involved, and that's what makes the deal sour also at some times, right? Because there's a lack of communication. It was you founders, 8 of you, I think in this case, getting together and saying, let's make this work. Correct, Aditya?
Yeah. So I'll tell you, right, that there are a lot of reasons why people merge, right? Or people do acquisitions, people do various kind of alliances, right? But I think what worked for us, in the hindsight, if I look at it, right, that it is that common goal that we want to really make something much, much bigger together, right?
Yeah.
That was one North Star that I think was common with everyone. And that basically said that what are we today? Nothing. Right? If we are nothing today, what are we fighting for? Right? So, and what should we fight for? So let's remove all the clutter. Right? And I will also give a lot of credit to our investors who advised us on this. That, guys, remove the clutter from your mind.
I think we lost you there. You want to repeat what you're saying?
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that when we are chasing something much bigger to be built together, we said that if we are nothing today with respect to where we want to be, why do we get into the clutter of, the complication, right? Yeah. The simplified version is we we have done well, but we've not done something really, really great. The simplified version is that where we want to be is at least 10, 20, 30 times of where we are today, right? The simplified version is that the strength that we bring on the table is what the collective, the understanding and the experience that we have in this industry. If we simplify these things down and you chase for something much bigger which does not exist on the table, right?
Yeah,
I think there is where the answer lies of to be able to pull something like this off, right? And it did not get pulled off without any issues, right? We did have devil's advocates within us and stuff like that, which only hardened our belief towards it, right? Now we did not get into it with a very with blind spotted everywhere, right? Just in some illusion. So I think that's the answer to this question, that to remove the complication from the action.
Yeah, Anil, you're the marketing guy, and for you, I mean, just for the benefit of our audience, how does the hotel industry, tourism industry work with technology? There must be thousands of SaaS tools out there, right? How does that put you guys in a competitive edge? And like Aditya said, the focus is you want to focus on the moon kind of thing right now. How will you get there with this full stack solution? What is the opportunity?
Ravi was speaking to us earlier. So one thing which we have come across is the technologies are very fragmented at this stage.
Okay.
Let's say enterprise hotel like 4-star category chain in India. So with at least about 8 technology partners for different products. Now, when they're working with 8 technology products, it is not completely well integrated product. It is not seamless. I think what we are trying to achieve together is to give a seamless product, a one-shop window for them to buy every product in one place, getting the customer experience from arranging the hotel room booking till the customer exits and writes the feedback. So we have everything with us put together. I think the collaborative nature of this makes us very powerful in the market, and also helps us to go to the hotel partners, simplify the process, simplify the cost, and make a better value for money for their acquiring the new market share, new market products. And we also try to innovate further. We don't want to stay here. We want to go further. I think this is the most important and strong process, and the product which we believe in can help even the hospitality sector as an industry. And we as a team, we complement each other really well. I think in this perspective, we do have a great opportunity here.
Okay. I want to ask a management question to you, Ravi, and Pranjal, you can take this too, because I'm really interested in what Aditya said. He said, as individual companies, you guys hadn't done anything great, but yet you guys have been around for 10 years. I have a lot of respect for you guys. And, so what does he mean when he says that, there has nothing been done individually by all of us, let's combine? Why did that make sense to you guys?
So the way we see it is we are on a fresh startup journey. Only difference is this time we are not starting from a zero customer base and zero revenue. But for us, it's a absolutely fresh journey, from product to technology selection to team culture to policies to market focus. Everywhere we are taking a customer first approach. We are doing exactly same thing what we would have done or what we have previously done in our life to understand the customer and pain point. We are making sure that we are not carrying our knowledge or burden and putting it here. So it's a kind of a fresh startup with maybe 10,000 plus customers with 200 plus employees now. But that's the approach we are taking. And individually, we believe that our journey so far in the past few years has equipped us to build the next generation product, next generation market, and a larger opportunity for all the stakeholders, hotels, partners, and guests in this new ecosystem.
Ravi?
Getting to it, the way I see this is, in your startup journey, you figure out, at some point in time that, now is the time where consolidation makes sense, right? For somebody, it comes at the end of 2 years, for somebody, it comes at 10 years. But why it makes sense, not just by the, sort of number of customers you have, of course, goes with the complementing technologies you have. We never competed with each other. The key thesis of this, or the playbook of this merger, is how well we complement each other with our technologies, with the teams, and make sure, every segment in this, sort of industry is sort of catered by either one of these products. So, each one of us have had the expertise in catering to, one of the segments available in the industry. So how well we consolidate that knowledge of capturing that segment, as well as, like I said, at some point in time in your startup journey, you actually feel now is the time to consolidate for the right reasons, right? And the reasons are clear. So
that's a very valuable lesson. That's a very valuable lesson for you audience, because think about it. If you guys have done something for 7-8 years, you don't want to really compete with somebody. And this is a beautiful merger that's happened. And between the 5 of you, I think there's 100 years of experience. Prabhash, maybe you want to take this. Aditya, you also, maybe you want to take this. One thing is the 5 of you got along fine. Okay. Now stitching the technology together, the architecture, that takes time, right? How did you guys solve that issue?
Actually, Aditya, you want to start, but actually, I think when it comes to architecture, we have this problem that Pranjal is looking at actively at this point.
Okay, and that's great. I'd love to have, this is great because I want startups to know that if they consolidate together, it's not also the meeting of minds, it's also the meeting of the technologies and the processes. So Aditya, you want to talk about it? And Prabhash, you can also add.
Sure.
See, basically, number one, let's understand that there are 3 good machines running on the cloud.
Yes.
And cloud is meant for collaboration. So there is no reason why our technologies cannot collaborate as closely as it can get, right? So you don't actually need everyone to come on a particular, it's not the monolithic world, the legacy world where everything should come to either C++ or everything should come to either Java or whatever, right? So you are living in a world which is distributed world, which is collaborative world. So that part is, I will not simplify or trivialize Pranjal's job, who's not getting the product, but it is a relatively easier problem to solve. The bigger problem is what you said is the processes, right? Let's understand there are companies of 3 generations over here. A company that starts from generation of, within our mini journeys, there are mini journeys, right? So you have a RepUp that is 5 to 6 years into the industry. We have Access Rooms, which is 7 to 8 years into the industry. And we have Hotellogics, 11 to 12 years into the industry, right? And in this is the journey where the company evolves quite rapidly, right? And hence you read different type of processes. And so consolidating these processes, I think, is going to be the key challenge over here. The overarching ground rule, if we maintain that the success of the 4th output that is going to come out of it is the most important aspect. We leave our baggage, like Pranjal said, behind, right? And, then I think it is going to be a simpler walk. But yes, that's the key challenge, to unify the process. Prabhash?
Okay. First, go on.
If I would add to it, and if I may, is that if you look at our 3 different products that have come together now, I mean, there is a subset and there is a strength that each of us offer on the table. And leveraging that in the market with our hotels and giving them the opportunity to get something that gives them an edge in the business now, especially now when things will be more competitive post-COVID. The market will definitely shrink a bit for sure in travel and hospitality. So that is something that is going to be a challenge, and to figure that subset out will be something that we'll all have to work towards and ponder on and come out with some kind of a
go on, Aditya, you were saying. Go on.
One more thing, what is common amongst all 3 is all 3 of us were born on the cloud, right? And that is very important to understand, right? That if you are born on the cloud, you make your product in such a way that it is collaborative with third-party systems, right? It is a lot of API bases there and stuff like that. Monolithic solutions that were not born on the cloud, when they get cloud-enabled, this is where they face a challenge. So I think 3 of us being born on the cloud gives us that extra ability to, strongly collaborate, strongly integrate, and, deliver that kind of an experience to customers.
Okay.
I thought you would say.
Go on, Ravi.
Sorry.
Go on,
No, I
go on.
thought Aditya will say the common between all of us is the love for beer and biryani, but I heard a very, objective aspect.
That's a good way. I'm glad, the conversations around beer and biryani are much more progressive than anything else. And I'm sure, Pranjal, I'm going to come back to you because they say that you are handling the technology and how you're going to handle this. I'm going to come back to you. Aditya, again, correct me, with all your knowledge, all the five of you, will this now be sold like an enterprise tech product with an experience of guys who have built first on the cloud? Will it be a very differential way of selling this product?
So I will say that it will be a differential way of, of experience that we will give to the hotel, right? All of this jaggery we didn't need to do if we didn't need to come out with something really, really different. And so what we are saying is that, consider the life of a hotelier, right? An independent hotelier who does multitasking as a way of life, right? In his business. How can we basically be directional to him? This is what we want to do today. These are the 5 things that you would be interested in. These are the 5 questions that are bothering you. So think of it from a very different viewpoint. And the holy grail to stitch such a product together is the data that lies within, right? So when you are able to analyze the data, when you are able to make sense of the data to that extent, where you are able to tell them that, and make him run maybe everything over a WhatsApp, why would he need to do? So we are looking at a new way of delivering experience. I think as collectively, we have a lot of experience in trying to do remote, international marketing, getting the seat on the table with the independent hotelier to evaluate us and stuff like that. We've done that.
Yeah.
We need to scale that up. But what we are building is something much bigger, much more differential, right? Okay. And I think that is where lies the trick. That how you will be able to make this a success, right?
Okay. Pranjal, I want to throw in a case study to you. Obviously, when you and I met at the Oracle Open World, the hotels there, right, had broken experiences. They had a different booking experience. They had an app for in-room experience, right? It was all broken. But very few hotels give you that single view of the customer. And to your point, right? I mean, I've been to the US in the same hotel 8 times from 2015, and they could still not understand my likes, dislikes. But the ones in Vegas, Las Vegas, when we went to these AWS conferences, they had a view. They understood what you did. Is that because these new age CEOs of these hotels are looking at solutions like yours? And what is the technology integration needed there? What are the challenges for you? And how fast do you want to get this super product up to speed?
It's a very valid example, Vishal. Really appreciate you brought it up. So actually the biggest challenge is integration with existing products. So most of the hotel technology products have been adopted over a period of time. So some of those products are still running on premises. They do not have a very real time or the right way to integrate with other existing product in this space. So and with time, some of the progressive hoteliers, I'll say, they have understood value of data. And those who are able to see the value in it, what can they derive from knowing their customers well and personalizing their entire experience, they are able to make that kind of investment. And fortunately, technology companies are also opening up their APIs now. And that's where a new age or a new mindset from a company like us would put some more acceleration to it. Because when we enter this market with a unified product with 3 modular enterprise solution, it's not just independent product, but we are also opening an API layer to all other existing players in the market. And that gives opportunity to other existing players to consume our data points, consume our services and product, and build on top of it. So it's the mindset change which is required. And I think we have taken the first step, and we are excited to work with other industry partners to continue this journey.
Okay, I'm going to throw this up to the audience. Okay, think about this product. Tomorrow, they can open up their APIs for multiple apps to participate on the platform. Aditya, am I looking too ahead here, or will you allow a lot of startups to build on your platform in the future? It's possible, right?
No, absolutely. That's been the approach day one Hotelogics had, and that is the common, I will say philosophy that also binds us together. Right? We all have been working. What Hotelogics has 9 channel managers that it works with, right? We were one of the first companies in the PMS space to come out with a marketplace. Means use any of these products for your hotel, right? We actually opened up APIs that anyone could program a PMS on top of our PMS. We were the first. We till date we are the only company who has a PMS development platform that guys come and develop your own PMS on top of. So this is the common philosophy that is again, ties all of us together. That we don't want to strangulate anyone over here. We want to deliver an experience, and we want to also deliver that flexibility to, yes, guys, come integrate with us, work with us, and let's take, we will always be benefited with it, right?
Okay. So you guys are okay. Go on, Prabhash. You were heading. Go on.
I just wanted to, what Aditya I just said. So from the very beginning, whatever we developed and whatever we made, and open API architecture was something that was primary and paramount for us. And when we started with that, and like Aditya pointed out, we actually have examples where companies have built their mobile applications, their booking engines, which are running as products and which are running directly on our APIs, on our products, and which is something which is now we extended with the power of all these three coming together. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. We've talked about a global overview, Prabhash, till this point of time. Give us a view on the Indian ecosystem. That is, the travel industry will boom here. I'm sure this pandemic is only a short term.
I think the best persons to answer this question on India essentially would be Aditya and Ravi, I would say. And quite
okay. Let's get Ravi. Ravi, why don't you go for it, please?
Ravi, please go ahead. You're the king of India.
Yeah. Thank you, Aditya. See, one thing is for sure. I mean, the advantage that India carries today is, the domestic consumption that India can have. So what I'm trying to say is the domestic consumption in Indian market is going to be very, very heavy, right? I mean, there is a sense of restlessness which each individual is carrying right now. The next door guy, Aditya, just spent 2 days in Kabini, because he wanted to ensure, right, he wanted a break, right? I mean, at the end of the day, all we speak about, in terms of the travel is about taking those breaks. So I'm very sure, India market per se, since we have the power of domestic consumption, thanks to our population, India is not too far from seeing a position where, they recover much faster than, the like-minded or the like economies in the world. Right? I don't want to hint upon what economies and how much time will it take, because the predictability is slightly difficult at this point in time. But the traction on the platform, the recoveries that we are seeing, it's a very, very positive recovery that we are actually observing right now. So my take on Indian market is, you never know. I mean, same time next year, you are seeing 100% occupancy back.
Absolutely.
A lot of hotels.
I think most of the Indians are yearning to travel. Probably it'll explode once it opens up. But there is shortages, and this is the opportunity for you guys, right? A lot of the hotels, the travel and tourism industry, young hotel entrepreneurs there can straight away sign up with you guys. And that's the opportunity. Can you give us some data on what is the, room to individual shortage in our country? I mean, based on the demand, and how much do we need to fill up over the next 5 years, and how technology can help?
See, I mean, I remember, one of the interesting statistics in, around Q2 in the 2019, that, more than 100 days in a year, India falls short by about 200,000 rooms a day, right? I mean, those are the key days in the country, whether you have Durga Pujas to certain more festivals, holidays, and that's the time when people actually tweak their holiday plans, right? Why India travel, a lot outbound? Because either there is a cost element, there is a time element, or then of course there is a, sort of an inventory element. So that was an interesting stats where, it's said that more than 100 days in a year, there was a shortage of close to 200,000 rooms on a daily basis, which meant, roughly we are speaking about, close to an approximation of 20% rooms which are yet to be added. So assuming that, we are, travel industry starts seeing its, normal again in the next 12 to 18 months, I'm sure the right set of hoteliers are already planning to sort of build those rooms. And trust me, I keep hearing some of the feedbacks from some interesting entrepreneurs in the industry, where they are very, very bullish about the industry coming back to its normal and building up more rooms, whether it is Uttaranchal to Goa, but there are plans that, the right CEOs are already, sort of making.
I'm glad they're having those conversations. And it's also the if I may call it the new normal, which is a term everybody is using. So technology will actually enable these brands also meet these standards, right? Now, the government might say yours should be COVID-19 free, or you should probably maintain a bio bubble kind of thing. How will you maintain the cleanliness standards in your restaurant, right? Those things you guys can help for sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? Right?
I mean, interestingly, that's something which keeps us, sort of ahead of, in the industry, right? I mean, where I think Experium used the, time of COVID pretty well, where, they use the resources to build the, contactless check-in model. So what I'm trying to say is, as a combined suite, the advantage that we carry today is we are, sort of thinking ahead of time, right? Of course, technology is going to play a huge role in the way, a customer will be or a guest will be served going forward. I think Aditya hinted upon that part where they said that, the tech adoption would be very, very high, right? Hoteliers who were running on a conventional, methodologies will now turn towards, more tech-friendly sort of models because, the sort of reliability on non-tech resources has actually taken a back. So that's my view on it.
Yeah.
Go on, Aditya, you were saying.
Yeah. And actually,
Prabhash, go on, Prabhash.
So again, taking contactless as a lead, I just want to add there was that we have actually worked upon contactless suite, as in, which is not just about contactless checking. So there is a complete thought process that has gone into working together, wherein already being on cloud, we do contactless deployments, contactless trainings, etc. Contactless supports are already being given. On top of it, there is a contactless training program wherein contactless adoption of the product is also being added on top of it, right? So the whole life cycle of the customer, wherein minimal impact to the customer of connecting face-to-face or socially with any of our team members will allow them to work safely, not just with their guests, but also with the vendors that they work with, right? So that is where this whole thought has been extended to.
Fascinating. Fascinating. Go on, Aditya.
See, basically what you are seeing over here is, imagine just a year back, if you spoke about India having a contactless solution, you would laugh. You would say, yeah, India is a very human touch kind of a market, right? It's and you are taking away the human aspect of it from hospitality if you are ordering, if you are actually trying to adopt contactless solutions, right? That was the discussion, and that is true not just for India but also all of Southeast Asia and stuff like that. What I'm trying to say over here is that something unprecedented has happened, and this unprecedented actually leads towards unprecedented changes. If we consider 2022 being, let's say, the new normal, this industry is going to change till that point where technology providers will have to respond very rapidly to the changes that are happening in the market. And we, with the kind of technology stack that we have under us, right, our ability to respond to this with agility is highly, probable. So so number one, we will be able to respond to this market changes very rapidly. Number two is that in 2022, when you will have the new normal, there is no denial that even if it's a shrunk market, that means shrunk, the supply side, the hotels are shrunk, but the people that the hoteliers that would be left would be highly technology savvy. So for a technology provider like us, probably the market size will increase, right? Because there will be more technology buyers in the hospitality industry.
Yeah, it'll increase for you. And I'm glad you're saying this. That means the type of entrepreneur that will come to you is preparing for that new normal. Not somebody who's grappling at this point of time. That means the entrepreneur will come to you and say that I'm going to buy a product is somebody who understands what's going to happen 22 on.
Yes, exactly. Right. Okay. So I think there lies the success in being able to deliver that and be prepared for what this new normal is going to be.
Okay, Anil, how many entrepreneurs think like this? I mean, in your sales processes, marketing processes, how many come back to you at this point of time saying, I'm ready to experiment with you guys. I want to prepare for this new normal. Ravi, you can add in too. Pranjal, you can add in too in this. Okay, how many people really want to experiment with these?
I think we already have customers contacting after merger that they would like to take the full suite solution with us.
Nice.
Ravi is usually taking the conversation forward because India market specifically is handled by Ravi at this stage. We do have at least about 5-6 large chains coming back to us that they would like to look at the combined technology approach and look at offering contactless solution with Experian. Also, we are getting contactless inquiries into Access Rooms website nowadays because we have put a contactless there. So the traction is very high. I think Ravi will add in further.
Go on, Ravi.
Yeah, I mean, I think, the early interest is really, really encouraging, right? I mean, one comment whether I was expecting this kind of interest or not, right? I mean, post especially our, press release, the interest is very, very encouraging, right? I mean, Anil rightly mentioned there are a few larger groups when they understood now we carry a sort of a massive suite of products with us. How would it actually help them, right? Interestingly, one of the customers was speaking to me yesterday and he said, we have acquired, used Access Rooms for the last 3-4 years. And what matters to us is, how well do you actually add up more products, right? So the brand names and etc. would not matter to us as long as we know the quality of service and the quality of product would remain the same. And we believe when you have done this merger, you have actually, it's not just the sort of like-mindedness, it's more on the, like-to-like product, bandwidths, architecture, etc. has also been evaluated. So what I'm trying to say is a small hotelier who runs about 3-4 properties is able to see this merger as, a very progressive approach by Access Rooms and in the industry. So I'm again, very certain about, the way industry would see this going forward, is of course about bringing a change in the way, they would like to sort of adopt to technologies internally.
Okay. Pranjal, this whole data play, go on, you were saying, you wanted to say something, say it, and then I'll ask you my question.
Yeah, so the only thing I would like to add is post-COVID, there are going to be a lot of cases in all the mature economies, all the US, Europe, the world, where people would look for certain adherence to government guidelines. And to hotels, they need to, elevate their technology stack currently they are using so that they are able to fight back those cases. So in a way that will lead to a different type of, solution adoption in these mature markets. And that also presents a larger opportunity for all the technology players so that we can help our hotel partners to be ready for all such cases in future, to be ready to communicate and give comfort to their guests that they are following all the measures. These hotels are concerned about your safety and well-being.
So how many of them in the future will really be interested in this customer journey? I mean, it's all about data. You're going to help them with a lot of these things, right? And data becomes central to it. Do they understand that tomorrow, if they don't work with data, they're going to close down fast?
No, that would be a very extreme statement to make that they will think that they will shut down. I don't think that thought, but what they are increasingly seeing is that how much this data is being valued by their peers.
Okay, good.
Right? And I think that network effect is more important than the threat of closing down for the maturity of the industry, right? So, so I would say that, technology adoption has just got expedited. That's the breaking news. COVID, technology adoption has increased, right? So it has
absolutely. I want to carry on with this, continuing with this. There'll be a lot of questions once I put this out saying, how did these guys manage us share swap ratio? Who owns what? Without really revealing too much into the details, right? I don't know who's going to take this.
I'm going to actually... and I'm switching off my video. I don't want to
answer. but this is interesting, guys. So, okay, let me phrase it this way. If a startup wants to do a three-way merger, how do they manage the share swap ratio? Go on.
Prabhash, you want to take this up?
I'll start with it. Probably somebody will have to take it forward.
Yeah.
So, but I would say
you are always prepared not to reveal many things.
Okay. So all founders have put in some value, and our companies individually have verticals. Like we have distribution vertical with Access Rooms, and we have experiential vertical with RepUp, and PMS as a core we have been handling for a while, and we have all brought it together, and it's a very complementary businesses that have come together that we have all talked about all this while. And these founders with the value that, we have tried to put together a value to it and made a structure out of it, right? And
nice.
We simplified that structure of the swap that we have done is all I can say, essentially, in terms of how we have come together and what we are offering to the market largely. So, that is, I think, all that comes to my mind to start with. And if anybody else wants to add to it, please go ahead.
Okay, please add, because also keep in mind, advise, if somebody does this kind of merger, what should they keep in mind if they have to get into the deal like that? Please.
Okay, yeah, on a serious note, right, the objective of the merger is very important. So let's say if you are talking startups, the objective should be similar to make something very big. In Stanford, they teach something called as the theory of affordable loss, right? What asset do you have with you to put on the table?
Yes.
Right? And when you put this asset on the table, right, that is what is the most valuable aspect of it. And this is going to add up tomorrow to make something much, much bigger for all of us. So number one, simplify the assets that you want to put. Don't say, I have a very good office. I have this, I have low churn, I have there, don't try to overcomplicate things. Like you said, right, we did not involve these professionals who, for the intent of charging us hourly rates, would want to complicate things, right? So simplify it from the most important things to put on the table to be valued, right? Everything else is detailed, because if this does not make that big impact, all this is going to be of no use. And the more things you put on the table, the more baggage you are going to carry with you in this journey to be, post-mortem by everyone, right? So let's simplify the asset that you're putting, let's say revenue, right? So let's say technology. So you just simplify what is the most valuable thing that you have with you and put it on the table, and don't complicate it. For you to do this successfully, at least for a three-way, I will clearly suggest this to startups.
Okay. Okay.
Go on,
Prabhash. Go on.
No. I just wanted to say what Aditya has said, that keep it simple, and revenue potential are important points. And then, of course, the value that you bring in with straightforward assets that you carry are the way to go with. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Ravi, you want to say something? Ravi, Anil, Pranjal?
I told you I'm on mute.
You just spoke to me. Go on, tell me.
No, I think, Aditya and Prabhash exactly pointed out to how, what was the, base we actually, sort of use to value ourselves. And it is nothing but, picking up one of the, most critical assets. So the two critical assets technology company carries, are either the technology or the, sort of revenue buildup that you would have had. So I think, the message to any other startup, sort of watching this is, you should know what is the key metric, sort of that complements with the, another company that you plan to sort of merge with, right? If you have the similar metrics to actually look at, whether it could be revenue, technology, IP, number of customers, the number of years, legacy, it could be anything. But you pick up those top two metrics and say, this is what we are combining for, and this is how we will value ourselves. And that's the basis for actually determining what sort of ratios you would have, as a combined entity. Because then you would not go wrong. I mean, because you have done like-to-like comparison, you have not picked up the best of each of those companies and say, okay, because that's something which complicates in whether it is two-way or three-way, the complication would remain same in those mergers.
Okay. Anil, you wanted to say something. Aditya, I saw your hand, so I'll ask you. Definitely.
So I think it's very important for the startups to talk to their competitors and also the people who complement them. I think you have to be in continuous conversation with them. They should not realize, okay, they are the competitors, I'll not talk to them. Co-founders level, they still have to go talk to them and understand, because you never know when the opportunity comes in that you have to be together. And second most important thing is, if you look at automobile industry or recently the Paytm and PhonePe alliance, which they had payments, I think you have to talk to each other. It's very important in the startup journey.
Agreed. Aditya, go on.
See, basically just adding on to Anil, and I have a separate point to make after that, that what is industry, right? If you are in an industry, you have to enjoy the industry. You go to a party, right? And you go to a party and you want to enjoy the people over there. You just don't want to go and just thump, and no one is going to have a good time with you, right, over there. So if you are in an industry, you have to enjoy the industry, and industry comprises of competitors. Industry comprises of partners. Industry comprises of customers. Industry comprises of critiques for you, right? Media. So you have to love the industry, enjoy the industry. Very recently in a group, I congratulated Easy for mention that they have made about the future of the industry. And people over there, they basically said, we like the spirit of doing that. Because if there isn't anyone worth competing, if Pakistan was not there, did we ever enjoy cricket?
I don't think so.
So what I'm trying to say is that, number one, enjoy the whole ecosystem in totality for you to enjoy a journey.
Yeah.
Second, from a complication perspective, it is very important that once you value your assets and you do the merger, and that time, you have to tell yourself that this is where we do a fresh beginning. Everything is holistic after this. You can't say that tomorrow, in the next 3 years, my technology is going to sell this much and hence it has to be valued this much, right? And stuff like that. So your future has to be with oneness attitude. Your past that you bring on the table has to be simplified. And that's, I think, has been our approach towards this merger. And hopefully, that makes sense.
Is it important to remain in control of your company to take such a decision because it was founder-led? Right? Because if you were heavily funded, I'm sure you wouldn't be able to make this decision. So, Prabhash, maybe you could take this.
So actually, I would start by saying that a sign of a good VC is somebody who does let the founders keep control of the company, and that is very important. For any company to be successful, you would see that it is the vision of the founders, and if it plays out the way it has been, that is what makes the company successful, right? And I think Aditya and Pranjal, Anil, and Ravi would add to this fact. And keeping control is not an intent by which you work. It is something that is by default is there. I mean, if you're working with the right partners and right VCs.
Okay, and I'm sure after this there'll be a lot of media people coming and saying the inside story of HotelLogix and the three-way merger. And I'm sure, and it's interesting. How did you guys? This is a management question. How did you guys shed that ego? Everybody talks about in the competitive world, everyone has an ego to push towards, and they'll say that, look, I know better than you. I mean, give me some case studies. You guys sat in a room, I'm sure, at the end of the day and discussed all these things in the boardroom, right? How did each of you shed your egos? Can you give examples? Because this will be interesting for the startup world to know. Go for it, guys. Anybody?
So one thing I can say is that in the boardroom, if everybody is in agreement, then there is something wrong. there is always a devil's advocate. There is always a person who would think vertically differently. And there are always then discussions that put you on a common objective and a goal at some point of time. So that's how the discussions usually go. And especially for very important matters, sometimes for very critical decisions, these are more so to happen. Wherein then only then that you can actually evaluate all the risks and the areas that you need to be cautious about before treading that path that you are looking out for yourself.
Okay. Go on, Aditya. Go on. Ravi, you were also wanting to say something.
See, basically, I think at least our experience has been that we've been very, very transparent and true to our investors, number one, right? You asked about the investor part, right? And our investors, when we took the idea to them, they encouraged us a lot. That why don't you evaluate this? Why don't you get into it deeper? You know,
Nice.
It looks like a very promising thing on the face of it. Dig deeper into it. And as time progressed, they also educated us on the complication that this can bring in, right? You asked about the egos and stuff like that. The first thing that they educated us, and all of us took this up very seriously, is what are going to be your roles and responsibilities?
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to control yourself, right? From not stepping on each other's shoes, right? And stuff like that. Since we all agreed that it has to be a very big story, later whenever such thoughts came into our mind, we probably did not entertain those thoughts, to mature and brought it on the table to discuss. So I think that's been the key. And Ravi, I think, can add much more to this because he's been one of the person who plays the person who glues things.
Nice. Go on, Ravi.
In a couple of lines, the way I would see is maturity of a founder actually lies in, especially in these mergers, how does he, transform from being a founder to a key contributor in the new company, right?
Okay.
We of course had to. I mean, I think again, COVID, while it added a lot of, stress to our entire industry and so to us, but it has given us a lot of time to actually rethink, multiple times. And are we ready to actually move away from being called as so-called founders to the key contributors? So today, you're speaking to, none of us are founders anymore, right?
Yeah.
I would say we have left that legacy behind now.
Yes.
Now we are actually part of a different avatar. It's a new look, sort of a team. And I would say it didn't happen on the day one. It wouldn't have happened on 100th day also. It has taken us a lot of days and practically a year to come to a point. And today we say that, okay, one thing that we actually leave outside the room is the ego, right? Because the objective is common, right? The objective is to actually make it, really, really large. And if we, didn't have this thought, right, we wouldn't have been actually merged, right? Because we were happy running our shows independently, being called as founders and pampering our own egos, but we didn't want that, right? We wanted to be a part of a very, very large success story.
I love what you're saying now, because once you do this, the second level of problem is your own teams. Each of you has a own team. There's a new team reporting into each of you, right? I mean, culturally, this is where now the problem starts. I'm close to Aditya, I'm close to Prabhash. Why should I report to Ravi, Pranjal, or Anil? Something of that sort can happen. And it's very important for you guys to start addressing these problems right now, right? Have you gone through that process?
So, I think this is actually the first thing that we picked up as a part of this merger. And potentially, I would say a couple of weeks before we actually signed the document, this is the first thing that we actually picked up. And we internally, of course, call it as the people integration exercise. Yeah. And I'm glad to be sort of, leading that whole process along with all four, part of this call. And, two things which we are aware of, I think Aditya mentioned, we are generation XYZ here, right? I think Pranjal and Pranjal's team is a baby team here, right? I mean, we see him being really, really young amongst some of the, oldies here, right? But I mean, having said that, I think two things which we, of course, knew we have to address. How would the new organization structure look like? What would be the face of it? And, what is the time to actually announce this? Do we do this overnight and say, boss, hey, now you're going to report to Ravi and not to say, Pranjal or to Prabhash or anybody else? We're not doing that. We are actually, engaging a lot more people from these three organizations to be a part of this journey, right? We are following a right method to ensure that, two things we do not let it impact. One is we do not lose people. And second, there is, the cultural shift that a lot of people are going to have, right? Because there are 3 different generation companies we're speaking about. We merge those cultures also well. And thankfully, each one of us here are actually putting a good time in a week to, of course, discuss, debate, and, coming with the right methodology to deal with it. So currently we feel we are actually on top of that exercise. And, people are gradually getting aligned to that entire thought. We are not giving them an overnight shock, because we ourselves took, if you see, we took 6-8 months to actually, sort of absorb this entire thing. I mean, had this merger happen 30 days after we discussed, I'm sure, in the next 90 days would have been sort of, we would be battling different battles out. But we want to follow the same process. Of course, we can't have that, for a year or so, but we are giving ample time for people to, sort of absorb this, go back to their existing team leaders and the leadership teams to discuss about it, if at all, there is.
I absolutely love what you said. I'd like to summarize this conversation for the audience. Aditya, I'll come back to you just to say that the first thing is a common goal. What did you guys get together? Then set the objective, remove the ego, right? And once the financial transactions are done, immediately go to the teams, fix the problems, that there will be new people that you'll be reporting to. And then it's a smooth transition, right? That's what makes this merger special. And we'll also write about it, so read about it in detail. Aditya, you wanted to say something?
On a lighter note, I'm very happy that this problem is with Ravi, on Ravi's head, because he's the only one who has nothing to lose on the head. Right? We all have something to lose on our heads.
Why do you say that, Ravi?
So I also want to ask.
So he's already lost all the hair that he could, right? So there is, for us, there's nothing, a lot of hair to lose. So I'm happy that this problem is headed by Ravi and no one, and not me, right? So, yeah.
Okay. Before I close, right, I'm going to close with Aditya. I'm going to close with you on, what the market's going to look like. But I want everybody, because you all have individual teams. So Anil, you can talk about what do you expect from the team, and what do you are you hiring, and those sort of questions. And then we'll call it a close. Go on. I'll start with Anil. What do you expect from your team, and are you hiring?
So I think we are looking, personally, I'll be looking at new markets, and with the COVID situation, it is slowed down. So we are working on a lot of reseller strategies now, and we're also looking at a lot of alliance partners, so we can take over the new market, new approach markets. I think that way we will try to grow till the time market opens up for us. Going forward, yes, we will have new team members based in different new markets, especially out of India. Though our HotelLogic is already present in multiple markets, so we'll leverage a few of the partners there and with the partners. And Pranjal's product is already there with a lot of enterprise customers. We would like to leverage their contacts and see if we can grow in different countries. And we want to be like South Asia, and Southeast Asia is #1 in the hotel technology sector. I think I'll give it.
Yes. Ravi, go on. Your message to your team.
Sorry, I lost you for a second.
The message to your team, and how are you going to be going ahead with it?
See, I mean, again, the eye on the objective. Objective is, if we are aligned to make this as one of the largest, hotel tech companies in the world, going with what Anil said, #1 company in the Southeast Asia, right? I want each and every team member to be aligned with those thoughts. I want them to enjoy this success too, right? Do we see them as, yet another employees in an organization, or they are actually, the key stakeholders in the success, and we actually make them believe that, they will be enjoying this success along with us, right? Not that they were not enjoying the kind of success we have had previously, but again, it's a very, very new look entity, and we want to see, we want them also to see this as, a new, fresh start with exactly what Pranjal said, right? I mean, it's a new start, it's a new startup, a model, and we want them to enjoy the success along with us. Yeah, I mean, that's my message to the team.
Pranjal, your thoughts to your engineers, your product team. Are you going to be hiring also?
Yeah, we are very excited. We have a larger product portfolio to play with now, and with some success with our machine learning approach in Experian, we are excited to build a team which is more excited to utilize all the cutting edge technology to present a new layer of solution altogether for hospitality. We believe that we are going to redefine the entire hotel tech space. And more than hiring, we are looking for right candidates to lead certain verticals. So all the listeners, if you feel that this is the time to sit in office and build a product which will be in the market for next 8 to 10 years time, I think we are listening.
So you're going to go for AI, machine learning, UX, UI, all sorts, right? Cloud architecture. These are the kind of guys you're looking at.
Yes.
Okay, great. Go on, Aditya, you want to add something? I want to go to Prabhash, but go on. You have the final word anyway.
Yeah.
Go on, Prabhash.
I think I should take the final word. That's important. So for me, I would just like to say that it is very important for our team members to get aligned with each other and to collaborate and work with each other and to understand that they are a single team now, right?
Yes.
And essentially, these assignments they've been doing in the past, wherein they have been able to work together with each other on so many things, like in terms of development, it has been integration. In terms of finance, we are looking at them already talking to each other, trying to put things together and creating common central MISs. In terms of sales and marketing, we are already looking at collaborating, upselling and reselling and cross-selling. So this whole idea of doing these assignments and trying to help each other out has already bring them together. And as Ravi is already taking some measures to create a central policy as far as the operations of these people is to function, I think the whole thing will play out very beautifully for the way we will be able to put these teams and the leaders aligned for their roles and responsibilities. And that's what is panning out, which is nice, right?
Thanks, Prabhash. Thank you for that. Aditya, final word about the industry and the company. Go on.
See, what I think is that we come under the category of vertical SaaS, right? And if you look at vertical SaaS is not as matured globally, and it basically gives us a very, very realistic chance to be the number one player from India in the vertical SaaS play for hospitality industry. If that is one thing that would drive, because vertical SaaS, if we go and read, it requires a lot more deep understanding of the problem, of the vertical, to come out with a solution that works for them, and then the ability to sell them, ability to market requires a lot more deeper understanding of that vertical, right? And the market is also of a limited size. So to capture that market, right, become a leader in it, I think it is a very, very good opportunity for people to be part of this journey, who want to make a dent to this market, to this industry. So I think that should be the driver for people within Hotelogix and who wants to join Hotelogix, that yes, here is an opportunity to become the number one player in hotel tech space from India as a vertical SaaS contributor. That is what I would say.
Guys, they're in 100+ countries with 10,000+ hospitality businesses. So I would rather say that go for it. Don't try your luck at it. Go build their product, become successful. Okay. Thank you, Aditya, Anil, Ravi, Prabhash, Pranjal. You've been wonderful. We'll see you all soon, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. This is the 3rd episode, and thank you all for watching this.